Hi, my name's John. A year ago, I never even heard of Fruits Basket. That is until my girlfriend introduced the anime to me.
And I'm Allie. I've been reading the manga since I was in 3rd grade.
We loved watching season 1 together so much, and we'd have all these crazy long discussions about what happened in each episode.
And for season 2, we thought it would be really fun to share our conversations with you.
So join us today as we talk about season 2, episode 12, You Cried for Me. So before we get started, if you're a returning listener, then welcome back. And if you're a new listener, we're glad to have you on our Fruits Basket podcast. And if you want to stay up to date with all of our Fruits Basket content, then make sure to go down and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. But with all that out of the way, where are we starting?
Okay, well, first of all, let's just talk about how you have been loving these episodes.
Oh my god. I said that last episode was my favorite. Well, I still like last episode a little bit better. This is number 2 of the season.
Really?
Honestly. Yes, 100%.
I mean, I enjoyed it too, but I was chatting with friends on Discord, and I had said, I was worried that anime onlys might view this as filler.
I mean, I could see where they got that, but honestly, I enjoyed it so much that I would almost prefer the show if it was, only focused on Shigure, Hatori, and their whole, circle.
Yeah, and we had chatted about this a little bit before recording the podcast, so, we had realized that now that we're older, we kind of enjoy the adult storylines a bit more. When I was younger and I was in 3rd grade and reading this the first time, which I totally shouldn't have been, but the library lets you get out anything you want. And I had fallen in love with Kisa and Momiji, and those were my favorite characters as a child. So I have a lot of nostalgia for them, and I love them dearly. And then as I grew into a high schooler and a college student, I loved Toru and Yuki and Kyo. And now I'm kind of falling in love with our Mabudachi trio.
Our Hamabu Huzi Watsies?
The 3 Musketeers, Aya and Hatori and Shigure.
Okay. Yeah, no. And I feel like since this is my first time, experiencing it in general, I think it almost makes sense that they're my favorite. Obviously I really like Yuki, and I really like the Toru-Kyo dynamic, but anytime Hatori or Shigure are on screen, I'm just wow, this show is dope. I love this episode just because I was wow, this is kind of relatable. Because can I just get into kind of the episode really fast?
Go for it. There was no intro for the show, so why do we need an intro?
So I really like how this episode is really kind of hitting on Mayu and her perspective of everything that happens throughout Hatori and Kana's kind of relationship.
Yeah.
And I really, I don't know.
Seeing it from an outside perspective, like Mayu, where she doesn't know about the curse, she learns about the whole mind-wiping thing that Hatori does, but she still doesn't know that they turn into animals. She doesn't know about the bond and how that ends up being a big curse for them because they can't defy the family head. She doesn't know any of that. She's not there, but she still sees how much stress it's putting on Hatori. And then later with the kids that end up going to her school and she's their teacher. So she sees what the family is doing to these Soma students and these Soma men. And she's getting that first-hand view.
Yeah, because she's not dumb. All of the Soma stuff isn't just self-contained into, when Akito's around. That bleeds into their lives. It's not like the school staff are just so clueless that they're these are all very well-adjusted young men. I mean, sure, Haru goes on a rampage and destroys a classroom just out of sheer anger. He's well-adjusted, though. It was an idiosyncrasy. No, they know that these boys, Kyo jumping out of classroom windows, they know they got issues.
Yeah, and it's what's in their water? What's going on?
And her seeing just how profoundly associate, like, I think we already knew that she dated Shigure for whatever reason. We didn't really know anything about it up to this point, though. But seeing that, just to get into it, that they were dating just kind of because Shigure knew that she had a thing for Hatori, but Hatori was already with Kana and she didn't want to, like, muscle in on that action. And it was almost like dating for the sake of dating, I guess.
So that's why you think Shigure dated her?
So, no. The reason I think that Shigure dated her, I think that's why she dated Shigure, you know? Because it's just
to
like...
have something to do? Or, like, she was lonely? Or...
I think she was lonely.
Okay.
And it permitted her an opportunity without feeling weird to be around Hatori and Kana.
Mm-hmm.
So she wasn't constantly third-wheeling, and Shigure was a convenient outlet. But I think Shigure, he's a schemer. He's a plotter. He plays 4D chess with everything he does,
yeah,
right?
He does.
And so I don't think that him using Toru as a chess piece to try and probably to break the curse, I don't think it's a new thing, you know?
Okay, so he's been at this.
I think he's been trying to find, like, the person who will rise to the occasion and break the curse. And I think that Mayu might have been a previous candidate.
Oh, yo, that reminds me. We, in a previous episode, or I don't remember if we recorded it or if we just watched it, because I think it was from season 1. But that one episode where Kana is talking to Akito and everything, and Akito, yeah, that was definitely season 1. Akito had said, like, why do you think you're so special? You're not the one. Or something like that. Like, you can't do anything. So you think that there's, like, a person who can break the curse, and maybe Kana thought that she could be it, but she's not. It could be Mayu. Or at least Shigure thought it was.
I don't think Kana ever thought that. I think Kana just kind of fell for Hatori due to circumstance, you know? Like, they were very close together. Like, I think that they fell in love just based on proximity and circumstance. But I think Shigure saw how Mayu had a big thing for Hatori and was like, I don't think Kana will cut it. Let's keep her close. Or, like, if Kana does cut it, then that's great. But, like, she clearly has a huge thing for Hatori, so she might be, like, a nice extra piece in the puzzle, like a backup.
Okay, good theories, good theories.
Or maybe he just genuinely never thought Kana would cut it. And he wanted Mayu to step in when things went south and have that resolve once she saw that Hatori was broken to step up, you know? Because later in the episode, he shows her Kana and he says, oh, you want to see Hatori now? With that sly grin on his face. And he even told her about the memory wipe stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that was kind of him trying to light a fire in her to figure out what's going on, and that just didn't quite happen.
Yeah, she did kind of isolate herself in a way, and she detached herself from the situation.
But kind of treading back a little bit, so when Shigure shows up to the bookstore, I was like living for this interaction.
What, because Mayu's face is how everyone should react to Shigure showing up unprompted?
Yeah. And I think that this whole interaction, him kind of like ordering this book for Hatori and then kind of tricking her into having to interact with Hatori 2 days in a row because he knew the book wouldn't come in till tomorrow, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But the reason I want to go back to this is because I feel like this is kind of what prompted that initial reunion of Hatori and Mayu. When you said isolation, this kind of spurred like a memory in me. So last week we talked about like Erik Erikson's psychosocial development theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this episode is such a microcosm of that theory, just way later in life. So like in that theory, right, in between the ages of like 21 to like 39-ish, it's the intimacy versus isolation stage. And so within each of these kind of age groups, there are different psychosocial crises or tasks that someone needs to accomplish. And the task in this is to discover intimacy with an individual outside of the family, right?
Okay.
And so I think that this is such a perfect encapsulation of that developmental kind of quality, if you subscribe to Erikson's theory. Because whether it's Hatori, Mayu, Shigure, Kana, they're all looking for this intimacy so that they can avoid that, I don't want to say failing, but kind of not accomplishing this psychosocial task, and which would inevitably lead to isolation, which could lead to depressive feelings, loneliness, all that stuff, which we are kind of seeing in Mayu and Shigure right now, and Hatori. So now that Shigure is kind of playing love connection, that's kind of moving them towards that intimacy stage. Because in this theory, the virtue, in each stage, there's a virtue that's developed. And so the virtue in this one is love. And so I think Shigure is really pushing them towards that. And it makes so much sense with where they're at in their life, in their development. And I don't know, I thought that was just a really cool thing. And I know that it's not that crazy to be like, oh yes, they're young adults, they're looking for love. But I think that since it has such a developmental basis and it fits so well with kind of the theming of this episode, I thought it was really, really kind of interesting.
Yeah, and it also fits with the theming of the post-beach arc, or even just like the last episode of the beach arc until now. Because if you've noticed, every single episode for these like last, I don't know, like 3 or 4 has been about bonds and how they're supposed to be precious. So we see the relationship between God and the Zodiac and how that's supposed to be a precious bond, but it's kind of tainted. And then you get the relationship between Kyo and Kagura, and that had so much potential to be a beautiful friendship or even a relationship if it went that way, but it didn't because it was so selfish and it was so pitying of a love that it just couldn't blossom that type of way. And now we're seeing this new type of bond, which, you know, between Kana and Hatori, how that didn't end up working out, between Shigure and Mayu, and how that definitely couldn't have worked out because there really wasn't even a bond there. It was just something to pass the time. And now this new bond, which is a lot more adult, a lot more respectful, and a lot better handled between Hatori and Mayu. And we're finally getting to see a nice romance.
Like a nice adult romance.
Yeah.
Where like the completion of this stage is like that sense of commitment, that sense of safety and care. It's not like a fling. It's like really exploring how we can begin, or they can begin sharing themselves more intimately with each other. Yeah. And so I think that this show really encapsulates human nature so well in so many different ways. Because failure in this, that isolation, just to keep going back to it, like does cause that kind of fear of commitment, that lack of positive relationships, potentially.
Okay, so I have one last point with this. Don't you find it interesting that Akito keeps trying to use isolation as a form of love? Like, it's so backwards, because it happened with Yuki, it's happening with Kureno right now, as we speak, and then he plans on doing the same thing with Kyo, like, I'll be with you, you're gonna stay in your room, and I'll have you all to myself, kind of weird mantra he's been going on about, and then keeping all the Zodiac members to himself. So that idea of isolation versus love or connection or whatever you had said, I can't remember. Yes, intimacy. I don't know psychology for crap, but I feel like that's a big theme in this story as well.
Yeah, and while all of these stages can be like overcome like retroactively, if you do get stuck in this isolation phase, you'll probably be avoiding intimacy, probably fearing commitment and relationships just in general, And like I said a little bit earlier, it could lead to loneliness, sometimes depression, and it'll be a lot harder to find that genuine love. With Kureno, probably just resigning himself to being like, oh, I like Uotani, which that's a whole bag of worms, that potential relationship. But he actively avoided it in favor of Akito's isolation. And so I think that they really addressed all of this, like, really, really well. Because you can even see that when Mayu is interacting with Shigure, she doesn't get the intimacy that she necessarily wants. Like, when they're staying alone in that room, just kind of reading together, and they look out the window, and Hatori and Kana are walking down the road, probably to go meet Akito, and she's grabbing onto his sleeve. It's heart-wrenching.
It hurts. Oh, it hurts. Speaking of things that hurt, oh my gosh. You're like right on the money with this show being so different from other forms of media and like it actually getting the human condition correct. Because the way that Kana is handled is, I feel like, revolutionary for a shoujo in general. These kinds of images of Kana just being so torn up with trauma, I have not seen in a shoujo. I've seen in shoujo manga, but not in a shoujo anime. No.
She literally, I said this while we were watching it, but it almost felt like she had, like in Demon Slayer, like she had just turned into a demon, you know?
Yeah, like that same graphic imagery.
Yeah, like that very, like, disconcerting kind of imagery.
Mm-hmm. Just a cute shoujo where they turn into animals. Nope. My heart just, it broke over that scene between Kana and Mayu. And I mean, literally all of their scenes. Like when Kana was talking about it after the fact with Mayu, where her memories had been erased. And like, girl code dictates that you are not supposed to go after your girl's ex-boyfriend. You don't do that. But Kana doesn't remember dating him, and so Mayu is stuck in this weird situation where it's like, I feel weirdly guilty for having a crush on my best friend's boyfriend, but she doesn't remember dating him, and she wants me to date him, and I just wanted them to be happy, because they both deserve happiness, but oh my gosh, like, neither of them can have it.
Which also shows just how circumstantial their relationship was.
Yes.
Because you would think that Kana would have, like, lingering, like, oh, I really have a crush on him, like, ooh, do you think he likes me, when she has absolutely no memory. But she's so just, not really into him. You should date him, though.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why Kana had been so, I don't know, outward with talking with Hatori when she first started working as his assistant was because women at the estate kept referring to Hatori as being really handsome. And she brought that up to him or to someone. My memory of season 1 is very hazy. But she had mentioned that people were talking about him and that he was really handsome. And now that her memory is wiped, people aren't going to bring up Hatori to her. They wouldn't dare. Yeah. You can't do that. So she's not in the same circumstances that led her to want to date like, him.
Oh, yeah, he's a great guy, and I guess he is cute.
Yeah, that didn't happen anymore, so she just didn't develop those feelings.
Yeah.
That's
which I think
crazy.
Is really interesting. Just how it shows just how circumstantial some relationships can be. And they can turn into really great relationships like Hatori and Kana's did. But that doesn't mean that it's explicitly there from the beginning. It clearly wasn't a love at first sight kind of situation. Like Mayu when she first saw Hatori.
Oh yeah. She knew nothing about that man other than that he was dating Kana and he was a doctor. And just right then and there, she's like, yeah, I could go for that. I would like a plate of that snack, please.
But I also love that Shigure, early in the episode, just kind of like planted that seed that he was, that Hatori was dating Hiro's mom. Which, like, obviously he's not dating Hiro's mom. I totally thought he was dating Hiro's mom when I first saw that scene, though.
Oh, I know. And when Shigure closed that little window, you had thought, oh my gosh, he's trying to hide Hatori's relationship, but no, he was really scheming about what he was going to tell Mayu.
That's so funny. That kind of planted the seed that, you know, maybe he's kind of moving on.
Yeah, Shigure did such a great job with that. I mean, he is a master manipulator, but he does his job well.
Yeah, he does his job very well. And I do want to point out that I saw that, like, that idea that he kind of planted that seed that he was ready to move on. That wasn't my thought initially. I saw it from Aaron, who commented on our community post. So big props to you, Aaron, for pointing that out, because I didn't notice that initially, but I think it's super interesting.
Yes. All of the credits for all of the good notices.
Yes, I did not want to take unjust credit. And then kind of closer to the end of the episode, I hate that awful old woman. Anytime she shows up, she's just the worst.
Oh my gosh, that maid lady, I think, is probably one of the most hated characters. She just sucks.
Yeah.
Everybody hates her.
Literally nothing redeeming about her. Like, let the kid cry. He's a kid.
I feel like her mentioning that this little boy crying is shameful is so telling of how the Soma family, or I guess clan, they're not related, but how they feel about emotions.
Yeah.
And mental health. Because even Hatori brings up later, he's like, oh, I'm physically well. I don't know what you're so worried about, Mayu. And she's worried about his mental health. He says that happiness isn't for him. No one in the Soma clan cares about mental health.
Yeah.
They need to. They need a family therapist. Have a new Zodiac member. Make them the family therapist. They need one.
No, not a Zodiac member.
Yeah. Just get somebody.
No, that's the worst person to be a therapist.
True.
Then they just do whatever Akito wanted.
You're right.
But then when Hatori and Mayu finally have that, like, final, like, conversation, I thought it was so precious how she was like, oh, you're not wearing the suit. And he's like, well, I didn't want to make you sweat. Just, like, so deadpan. And she starts cracking up, but then he goes like, I guess I'm just easily influenced. Which, him being so self-aware about the Akito deal and how he does everything that Akito says, and that's seems to be just moving into his regular everyday life of just being influenced by everyone around him, made me really just sad.
Yeah.
And then she goes, please release this man.
And her scream crying.
Yeah. Just bawling her eyes out. Which, like, I feel as though this really hits on something, like, big. Just, like, in society in general. Is that I feel like there's just a stigma around experiencing the full range of emotions as you get older. Especially for men, you know?
Oh, yeah. And I feel like hardcore in Japan, too. That's a big issue. I mean, it's no wonder the suicide rate there is so high. None of them are allowed to experience the full range of emotions.
And just in
really
general,
sad.
Just in general, mental health there is still very stigmatized.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's no surprise whatsoever that they say, oh, crying is shameful for that little boy.
Yeah.
And how he is so withdrawn into himself, and a lot of the Soma boys are just so withdrawn into themselves that when they do see someone like Mayu, who I imagine is very emotionally intelligent and very in tune with her emotions, just like bawling out in public because, you know, she feels an emotion, she expresses it, that's healthy. you know?
Yeah.
He's like, what's happening here? And him even thinking to himself, oh, I guess I could probably go for a good cry. I think that was so good because it's so important to be able to experience your full range of emotions, whether it's happy, sad, angry, because if you bottle it up, it'll just eat you alive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And Hatori even mentions that at this point, he wants to run away.
Yeah.
He does not want to be involved in this curse or with this clan anymore. He just wants to get out.
And then he asks her out, and it's so cute. But I think that this was one of the best character building episodes for both Hatori and Mayu.
Mm-hmm.
Because Mayu, we knew she was like the sassy teacher, you know?
Yeah, and it was so nice to see her break down because you see her like doing all these quips with these Soma kids and she's like putting black hair dye in Kyo's face like, you want to act up again? I'll dye your hair black. And now we get to see her actually be like human and not just sassy teacher. Like she has emotions and a backstory and like a full range to her.
And the more we hear about Hatori, the better. Because he's such an interesting human. Seahorse guy.
They always say they're human first. So.
I know. That's why I said human and then seahorse.
Human, then seahorse.
I just wish she'd hugged him. That would have made things interesting.
That would have been bad.
There was a lake there. Creek.
Seahorses need salt water.
Yeah, he lived in the hot tub, or the bath or whatever Kana threw him in.
Oh my goodness.
He'd be fine.
We're never owning fish.
And they confirmed the ship at the end.
Yeah, that ship sailed hard.
Like,
I forgot
they confirmed
that.
It. Like, 100%, like, it is a thing confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, oof. That was build up and closure all in, like, 25 minutes.
You get it all. You get it all. I do have to ask you one question, though.
Okay.
So, do you think that if Toru can't help these Soma boys and girls, all the Somas, that she'll end up in the same position like Kana did?
See, yes, but I don't think that'll happen. But I do think that Toru can't do it alone, you know?
What do you mean? Like she's gonna get help?
Yeah. I feel like she can't.
Oh.
I think they're building a team. Like, they're building the Avengers right now. So, like, like, Toru's, like, Captain America. Kazuma's, like, Iron Man. Mayu's Black Widow.
You don't think Reen would be Black Widow?
Reen's part of the Zodiac.
Oh, so she can't do any... Well, she can't defy Akito.
Yeah, exactly.
She does want to try and break the curse, so she'll be in there somewhere.
I mean,
Maybe
yeah.
she'll be like Groot. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think there needs to be outside influence. And so...
Okay.
I think they're building a team. I think they're slowly bringing more and more people into the equation to help break the curse.
Interesting. Huh. Mm-hmm. I like your Avengers analogy. That's funny. I mean, we do have Super Sentai right now, so...
Which... Did you hear who had that? Do you have anything else for, like, the bulk of the episode?
No, go for it.
Did you hear who said that last little bit?
What do you mean, did I hear? Did you hear? Who is it?
Kakeru Manabe!
John loves Kakeru Manabe, and he really has no reason to right now.
Are you kidding me?
Him this much.
He dressed like a cowboy.
Him this much. I know, but he was in one episode, and you're like,
he's the Black Ranger.
Alias.
Everyone knows the Black Ranger is the coolest ranger.
Oh my gosh. I really appreciate that you love Kakeru Manabe. I think it's really adorable and wonderful. I can't wait for next episode.
Like, I've been wanting more Kakeru Manabe since he was off screen in that first episode. Because I just want to hear his English voice actor say, Kakeru Manabe!
What do you think he's doing in the next episode?
I don't know.
Sure thing. He's talking about something.
Just being a jokester.
Just being a jokester.
I
I
don't know. Probably some student council stuff. I really don't know though. They said that what was the last thing we heard from him? There are 2 more members they need to fill out.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that. Maybe they'll be looking for more members to join the student council or something. I don't know. I don't know. Don't care about them as long as I get Kakaru Manabe.
I love you.
I just need more Kakaru, more Hatori, and more Shigure in my life.
What a trio.
Yeah. I am A school too.
Imagine them together.
The dream team.
One can only hope.
But anything else?
No. All good. Wrap us up.
All right. Well, that'll do it for today's podcast, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did like it and you have any questions for me in terms of what you want to know, what my ideas are about a certain thing in the episode that maybe we didn't talk about, or you have any questions or comments for Allie that are more spoilery, make sure to mark them with a spoiler tag. Leave those thoughts in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, why not liking this video, why not subscribing to our channel, and why not even ringing that notification bell so you never miss another upload. But with all that being said, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, a fantastic rest of your week, and why not even a fantastic rest of your month. And we will see you in the next video. Later.
See ya.